Hook, have you ever made a decision based on your heart, not your head? What if that decision could cost you an entire kingdom? That's the story of Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt. She wasn't just a legendary beauty. She was a brilliant ruler, a cunning politician, and a woman who gambled everything on love. But was her greatest strength also her fatal flaw? Stick around as we unravel the epic tale of how passion, power, and politics collided, leading to the dramatic end of a dynasty. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're rediving deep into the sands of time to explore the life of one of history's most fascinating figures, Cleopatra VII Philopator. Forget what you think you know from movies. The real Cleopatra was a force of nature, a scholar who spoke multiple languages, a shrewd military strategist, and a queen fiercely dedicated to preserving Egypt's independence against the growing might of Rome. Born into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek royal family that had ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years, Cleopatra inherited a kingdom in crisis. It was politically unstable, economically strained, and constantly under the threat of Roman annexation. From a young age, she understood that survival meant playing the game of power better than anyone else, and her chessboard was the entire Mediterranean. Her first major move was a legendary one. Smuggled into the palace in Alexandria, wrapped in a carpet, she presented herself to the most powerful man in the world at the time, Julius Caesar. This wasn't just a dramatic entrance. It was a calculated political statement. She needed Caesar's support to secure her throne from her younger brother, and she knew exactly how to get it. Now, it's easy to dismiss their relationship as a simple romance, but it was so much more. For Caesar, Cleopatra represented the immense wealth of Egypt, a strategic foothold in the East, and the allure of an ancient, godlike monarchy. For Cleopatra, Caesar was the military muscle she needed to become the undisputed ruler of Egypt. It was a partnership of ambition. They had a son together, Caesarion, whom Cleopatra hoped would one day rule a combined Roman-Egyptian empire. She wasn't just seducing a man, she was seducing a superpower. This was her signature move, blending personal charm with political necessity. With Caesar's backing, Cleopatra solidified her rule. She was a capable and beloved queen to her people. She stabilized the Egyptian economy, undertook massive building projects, and navigated a famine with skill. She presented herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, connecting with her Egyptian subjects on a profound spiritual level. For a time, her strategy was working flawlessly. She was powerful, respected, and her kingdom was secure. But then, disaster struck. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated in Rome. In a single moment, Cleopatra's protector, her political partner, and the father of her child was gone. Her position, once so secure, was suddenly precarious. The Roman world plunged into a brutal civil war, and Cleopatra had to choose a new ally, or risk losing everything. This is where her so-called bad habit truly comes into focus. Instead of solely relying on her own political acumen and Egypt's resources, she once again turned to a powerful Roman man, Mark Antony. Antony was one of Caesar's top generals, and a key player in the new Roman triumvirate. Cleopatra saw in him a new Caesar, a man with the military might to protect her and the ambition to challenge the existing Roman order. Their first meeting in Tarsus is the stuff of legend. Antony summoned her to explain her loyalty, but Cleopatra turned the tables completely. She arrived not as a subordinate, but as a goddess. She sailed up the river Kidnus in a magnificent barge with silver oars and purple sails. Dressed as Venus, the Roman goddess of love, surrounded by attendants, Antony, who saw himself as the embodiment of the god Dionysus, was utterly captivated. Once again, love and politics became inseparable. Their relationship was passionate and genuine, but it was also a strategic alliance. Together, they dreamed of a new world order, a grand Eastern Empire ruled from Alexandria, with their children as its heirs. For a decade, they were the ultimate power couple, controlling the entire eastern half of the Roman world. Cleopatra provided Antony with the funds and resources to wage his wars, and he, in turn, recognized her as the rightful queen of Egypt and other territories, even crowning their children as monarchs in a lavish ceremony known as the Donations of Alexandria. But this grand vision put them on a direct collision course with Antony's rival in Rome, Caesar's adopted son, Octavian. Back in Rome, Octavian was a master of propaganda. He painted Antony as a man who had abandoned his Roman duties, bewitched by a foreign queen. He portrayed Cleopatra not as a capable ruler, but as a decadent, dangerous temptress who sought to conquer Rome itself. The narrative was powerful, and it worked. The Roman Senate, fearing Antony and Cleopatra's ambition, declared war not on Antony, but on Cleopatra. It was a brilliant political move that forced Antony to defend her, making him look like a traitor to his homeland. The climax came at the naval battle of Actium in 31 BCE. The details of the battle are debated by historians. But the outcome was a catastrophic defeat for Antony and Cleopatra. Their fleet was destroyed, and their dreams of an empire crumbled into the sea. They fled back to Egypt, but their cause was lost. Octavian's forces were closing in. Here, we see the tragic downfall that resulted from her reliance on these powerful men. Antony, facing defeat and falsely believing Cleopatra was already dead, took his own life. When Cleopatra learned of his death, her world shattered. Her political partner was gone, her army was defeated, and her kingdom was about to be absorbed into the Roman Empire. Octavian captured her and planned to parade her through the streets of Rome in chains as the ultimate symbol of his victory. But Cleopatra would not grant him that satisfaction. She was a queen to the very end. In a final act of defiance, she arranged to have a venomous snake, an asp, smuggled to her in a basket of figs. By taking her own life, she controlled her own destiny, denied Octavian his triumph, and became a martyr for her lost kingdom. With her death, the reign of the pharaohs, which had lasted for 3 millennia, came to an end. Egypt became a Roman province, and her son Caesarion was executed shortly after. So was Cleopatra's reliance on love her fatal flaw. It's complicated. Her relationships with Caesar and Antony were born of political necessity. In a world dominated by Roman military power, aligning with its most influential men was arguably the smartest and only viable strategy for a queen trying to protect her vulnerable nation. For a time, it brought her immense success and power. However, by tying her fate and the fate of her kingdom so closely to the fortunes of these two men, she made a critical gamble. When they fell, she fell with them. Perhaps her true tragedy was that, in a world run by Roman generals and senators, even a ruler as brilliant, multilingual, and politically gifted as Cleopatra couldn't secure her throne on her own terms. Her story serves as a timeless and dramatic lesson on the intoxicating and often dangerous mix of love, power, and politics. What do you think? Was Cleopatra a master strategist who played the hand she was dealt, or was she a victim of her own heart? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.